Hi, today we are making smoothie bowls. This is one of my favorite go-to breakfasts, especially on those hot summer days or just days where you're craving a smoothie, but you need something to be a little bit more filling. If you're anything like me, you drink a smoothie and you're full for about 30 minutes and then you're looking for more food, which, if we're having a smoothie and we have a really busy day, that might be really hard to do. So I love this alternative to just making smoothies a little bit more filling and a little bit more balanced. So before we get started, let's go through our ingredients. Okay, so for this recipe, we are going to need some frozen fruits. You could definitely do fresh if you wanted. I just find this easier because you can skip the ice that you would typically have to add if you had fresh fruit, and it's guaranteed that it's ripe, tasty fruit. It also doesn't go bad. You don't have to worry about it rotting in your refrigerator. It just can always be in your freezer for those last minute meals. So I like to do frozen fruit. Today we're going to do a tropical fruit medley. You're also more than welcome to get the individually packaged fruit and mix them up, and that way you can have a new smoothie every time. So that's what we're going to use today. The next ingredient is going to be milk. We are a Lactaid family because we really like milk, but we also have some lactose intolerant folks in our family, so we enjoy Lactaid. I get 2%. You can also use non-dairy alternatives. I also like to add in a little bit of protein and fat just to help with some of that staying power. For me, peanut butter is my favorite. Now, I do have some folks who like to add the peanut butter in as a topping to the smoothie bowl. That way you can get more chunks of that peanut butter. I like to mix mine in though. I like it to be more spread out. So you decide what works best for you, but we'll need some kind of nut butter. Now this is going to be the base of our smoothie, but you could also add in other things if you like. Sometimes I recommend adding oats. This can actually blend in really well with your smoothie. Typically, I would say do instant oats in this recipe. If you saw my oat ball recipe, I usually go for the old fashioned, but the instant oats tend to blend a little better, but the difference is very minimal. So whatever kind of oat you like to use. Sometimes after a workout, or if I don't have any peanut butter, I will also use some protein powder. This is the kind my husband and I like the most just because it tastes good and it's also dairy-free. So I feel like if this is something that you'd be interested in trying, I'd recommend checking this out, but whatever kind that you like is fine. Now for our toppings, we are of course going to have some granola on top. I feel like this is the essence of every smoothie bowl, and it adds a nice crunchy texture. Sometimes we want a little bit of texture to spice up the satisfaction of our meals. So I like to add some granola. This can also increase the amount of fiber that we're putting in and complex carbohydrates with some of the oats. If you have granola with some kind of nuts in it, that can also help a little bit with that staying power. So that would be great as well. So toppings can vary based on what you like. I like coconut flakes, and I have them on hand from the oat balls that we made in the last video. So I'm going to add some of that on top. I also have some of my mini chocolate chips left, so I'm going to put that on the top of mine. And then I like to drizzle it with a little bit of honey. It just adds a little bit of extra flavor. And lastly, this is where I will, if I have some fresh fruit on hand, this is where I will sprinkle a little bit on top. So I will also slice up this banana and just kind of lay it on top. Okay, so now that we've gone through all of our ingredients, let's mix the smoothie together. I have a Ninja Bullet here. It's just a small smoothie maker. Whatever you have at home is fine. You could do a blender, smoothie maker, whatever. This is the cup that I like to use just because it gives me a little bit more room. Because we're not making a smoothie, we're making a smoothie bowl, you're gonna want the smoothie to be a little bit more thick. This is gonna just allow the toppings to sit on top and make it more of like a bowl. If your smoothie is not thick, that is also okay. It will still taste the same, but just to be able to have that space where you'll see we'll wanna shake it up mid-blend. So let's start with our frozen fruit. I am an eyeballer. I don't love measuring. Doesn't make me a great baker, but it works. I will probably do about a cup to a cup and a half of fruit. See there? Okay. So about that much, because this is the base, right? So this is like a good bulk of our meal. I will then take my peanut butter. Again, I like it blended in mine. You totally can just put it on top or use a different kind of nut butter. I'll take a nice spoonful. This is my protein and majority of my fat for the dish. So I wanna make sure that there's a lot in there. So I'll put about that much. And then lastly, we will do our milk. So when I make smoothies, I typically would fill all the way up and cover all of the ingredients in the smoothie maker. Because we want it to be a little bit more thick, I am going to, let's see if I can show you, cover this to about there. So there's just the peanut butter sticking out and just the tip of the fruit. Such a small difference. Again, not a big deal. So now we're going to make our smoothie. Okay, tied the smoothie. I give it a good shake just to start. The peanut butter kind of sticks to the walls, so let's help the process out a little bit. Okay, stick it onto our smoothie. It may get stuck, that's expected. This is where we'll shake it and do it again. Okay, I like to wait until a tunnel starts to form in there, just kind of knowing that all the pieces got blended up. My husband loves chunks of frozen fruit in his, and look, who am I to yuck somebody's yum? I like it smooth. Okay, open our smoothie. Now you're gonna wanna get a decent sized bowl. Ideally something that is deep. So something like this, right? I'm gonna pour my smoothie into the bowl. Again, it's a lot more thick than a regular smoothie, so it may take a little bit. Also use my peanut butter spoon to get some of it out. There it goes. Okay, we got our smoothie in the bowl. So now let's top it off. Let's do our granola. I like the oats and honey version, but I like to switch it up depending on what kind of fruit I'm using. What I like to do is I kind of like to just put a solid layer of granola on top. I feel like it kind of makes a crust of your smoothie. I don't know, that's just me. So I make a nice little layer. And then for this is where you could also do another spoonful of peanut butter or put that, or just do a layer of it on top if you didn't put it in the mixture. I also like to sprinkle some chocolate chips on there. It just adds to it. If you're not a big chocolate chips in the morning kind of person, you don't have to do that if it's your breakfast, but it makes for a great meal. And for those of us that do like some chocolate in the morning, that's also an option. Now we got our coconut flakes. I'm just gonna pinch a little bit on here, just enough to give it a little flavor, right? Okay, so we have the coconuts, granola, chocolate chips, last but not least, actually, I lied. The honey, and the last one is the banana. Again, just sprinkle a little bit. I like to do a little flurry. It always reminds me of being at the beach and ordering smoothie bowls in the morning on a hot day, and it just has this like glistening honey on top. It's just fun. Okay, now our banana. This is pretty simple. What I like to do is just kind of cut a little slice in there, pull it back so that way it's open. While it's still in its casing, I actually will just make the little cuts into slices. Just holds the banana together. So I'll make the little slices, very easy. I don't cut all the way through because I want to be able to peel that banana skin off, but make some cute little divots. And then you can peel the skin off and you will have cute little circles, banana circles. So take my banana, put it around. I cannot do it as cool as those people who make the smoothie bowls in the store because, I don't know, just haven't been able to master that. And now you have your smoothie bowl. So grab the spoon that you had from when you used your peanut butter and dig in. This is something that I find is a really nice, not only refreshing thing maybe on a hot summer day, but it's also just like a really fun and tasty breakfast. So if this is something that works well for you, let me know. I'd love to hear about any variations that you had on it. So if you have the time, it's something easy, it's something delicious, and it's also balanced. So it'll help to keep you full a little bit longer, actually a lot longer than a smoothie would. And it's so delicious. Let me know how you made yours and what you thought of it. If you want to learn a little bit more about me, I will link my introduction video into the description below. And anything that I use here today, I will see if I can link that below too. So if you're looking for specific ingredients or specific equipment that I use, that should all be linked there. But either way, thank you for cooking with me, blending with me today, and hope to see you next time.